Layna here. Welcome back to my channel. This channel is all about my recovery from anorexia. Today's video, we're going to be talking about relapses and just what they are, why they happen, and all of that. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Okay guys, first of all, I want to say, if you have relapses, don't beat yourself up for them. It's okay to not have them in your recovery. You're valid either way, but having relapses is pretty common in recovery, and it's no reason to get mad at yourself. Relapses happen. Recovery isn't linear. It's not a one-way street of perfection, and it's not easy, and it will entail some relapses at times. And it's difficult to deal with those relapses, but the most important thing during a relapse is to get back on track and not stay in the relapse, because you don't want to stay in the rut of the relapse, right? Because it's not healthy to stay there. You know that recovery is a good choice. It is healthy. It is getting your life back. So that's the one thing I recommend to remember about relapses, is that it's very important to try your hardest to get back out of the relapses, because in the end, that's not where you want to be, right? That's not where you want to be. We want to be on the road to recovery. But don't beat yourself up for having relapses. Relapses, they're hard and they suck. But it's no reason to get angry at yourself. It doesn't mean you're failing. It doesn't mean that you don't deserve recovery. It doesn't mean that recovery won't work. It just means your eating disorder is putting up a fight. And ultimately, every enemy puts up a fight. So yeah, it's almost as if you're in a story, right? You're in a fairy tale. You're obviously the hero. The villain is your eating disorder. In every story, it isn't as simple as the hero approaches the villain and slays them. They have to go on a journey and have to battle it out, and they have multiple battles before the final battle. There's those little battles along the road, and they lose some, they win some, but ultimately in the final battle, you win. So that's kind of how you can think about it. Those little battles are like relapses, but every time there's a little battle, the hero makes it out. The hero stays strong and makes it out. So that's one way to think about it, guys. Why do relapses happen? Well, this is different for everyone. It could be a change in your life, a family member moving away, you're moving, you're switching schools, somebody passes away in your family, anything. Honestly, a change in your life can trigger relapse, even if it has no relation to your eating disorder. The extreme emotion that it causes and the out of control feeling that it causes makes you want to control something else. And your eating disorder automatically is like, yo, let's control my eating, my body. And ultimately that lets the eating disorder back in. It could also be like if you're triggered by something you see on social media, comparing yourself to others. There's multiple things that can cause relapses, and sometimes there really isn't a cause. It just happens. And you accidentally fall back, like unintentionally, unknowingly fall back into the habits of the eating disorder. It's nothing to be ashamed of, but it's definitely not a place where you want to stay. I had 1 or 2 relapses in my eating disorder, and I fight many relapses. And it's important to remember that relapses don't have to be going all the way back to square one. There can be mini relapses or something like that. It could be like you just start to develop some of the habits again, and those do count as relapses. But you don't even have to think about it as a relapse, Could just be a little bump in the road. And if it bothers you to think of them as relapses, I really encourage you to adopt the fairy tale way to look at it. Like, every hero has those mini battles along their journey. It's part of the heroic cycle. right? So along the way, there's thresholds and threshold guardians and little battles all along the road. And eventually you reach your final battle. But in those little battles, the hero wins some, they lose some. But no matter what, they come out. They don't stay at the scene of the battle. They keep going forward. And that's important to remember. You keep going forward. You don't stay in the rut of the relapse, right? You don't stay there. You move on to the next battle. And then you eventually get to your final battle. And then you, the hero, wins the battle. That's a great way to look at it. I didn't think about that until this morning, actually. I didn't think about how, you don't have to think about it as a relapse. It's just part of your journey. And it's important to remember that the hero, you, has so many other things in their life other than the villain. So we aren't just our eating disorders. We have so much more about us. Relapse doesn't define you. You have a million other things about you that are amazing. And your eating disorder it's not who you are. And relapses aren't who you are. Yes, at times you will experience relapses, but it's important to make sure that you keep going and they don't let them discourage you. And don't stay in that rut. I know I keep saying that, guys, but don't stay in the rut. There isn't one way specific cure for a relapse. There's no one way to get out of a relapse. There's one main way, which is action. Taking action and rebelling against your eating disorder. You can't get out of a relapse while still following the ED behaviors. You can't get out of a relapse by saying, oh, I'm still going to measure my food, or I'm still going to restrict. You can't hold on to any of the eating disorder habits and still get out of the relapse and recover. You have to let go of the eating disorder habits. You can't keep them because that's holding on to your eating disorder. And your eating disorder convinces you that you can still recover while holding on to these things, and you can't. You can't. That's completely false. You cannot. You have to let go of those habits in order to get out of that relapse and move on in your recovery journey. You can't hold on. As I said, relapses can sometimes happen as a result of a change in your life or extreme emotion. If that is the case for you, then I'm really encourage you to try to resolve whatever happened. And if it's not possible to resolve it, if it's someone moving away, try to come up with some tactics to cope with it, distract yourself, try your best to cope with the situation at hand that is behind the relapse while trying to ignore those ED behaviors and get out of those ED behaviors and not hold on to them. And that's really a helpful way to get out of the relapse, because if you can resolve the conflict while leaving those eating disorder behaviors behind, you can move forward from the relapse. You don't need to stay in your relapse. It doesn't mean you're a failure of recovery. It's just one of those little battles and bumps along your heroic cycle. Every hero faces challenges. No matter what, there wouldn't be a story if a hero didn't face challenges. And every time the hero defeats the villain. Every time. Every time. Sometimes it's more difficult. Sometimes it's easier. Every story is different. But there is one common theme in the fairy tale. The hero always wins. And the villain always falls. The eating disorder will fall, guys. The eating disorder will fall. It will fall. You will defeat your eating disorder. It takes longer for some people, and that's okay. And that's okay. Just remember, guys, I'm here for you guys, and if you guys ever need anything, just DM me on my Instagram. Here is my Instagram. I post on there a lot. Here is my TikTok. I don't post as much on there, but I'll put it in here anyway. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys enjoyed hearing that little new outlook on relapses and your recovery journey. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on the notifications. And just remember, guys, keep kicking eating disorder butt. And remember, the hero always wins. I love you guys. Have a great day. Bye, guys.